is Brannon House Live. Whether the issue is law, science, economics, history, family, social issues, education, religion, government, or national security, Brannon brings the issues of the day into clear focus through the lens of a Judeo-Christian worldview. And now, here is your host, Brannon House.
And good evening. Welcome to the broadcast on this April 10th. 2025. We're going to be joined tonight by Garland Favorito, who has just touched down. He was in the gallery today, the House Gallery. He's going to join us tonight. And then we're going to be joined, we're going to talk about the SAVE Act that passed in the House today, along with some other important things that passed there. Identifying that you are a U.S. citizen. That's a good idea, don't you think? Before you could vote, the Democrats apparently don't want that. Tulsi Gabbard today announced to President Trump in the cabinet meeting that we have evidence to believe that voting machines can indeed be hacked and can change votes. I wonder who else was saying that. So we're going to get a big update from Garland Favorito. Annie Cyrus is going to join us to talk about Iran. And what is Israel going to do? What's America going to do when it comes to Iran? And we'll get a lot of updates from Annie on a lot of different topics. Then I want to talk to Dr. Lucky tonight. I'm going to play a lot of video clips. We had a very important update from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. today during the cabinet meeting. And I want to play what he had to say about autism and what he will be releasing, hopefully, he says, this September, President Trump's response. I want to ask Dr. Lucky about that. He has children. He, too, has been worried about these shots and vaccines for years. We'll talk about what he did with his kids. And we're also going to talk about food and the changing our food in our schools. RFK Jr.'s got a big announcement about that as well. And then we're going to talk about measles and the push and the idea by the propaganda media that these kids are dying from measles. Are they really dying from measles? Or are they dying from other things? What about your immune system? How many people in America, their immune systems are compromised? And this is one reason why they die from things that they shouldn't otherwise be dying from. We got a lot to talk about tonight related to our health, our immune system, inflammation, and just a Make America Healthy Again agenda. Lots of clips to play tonight. And talk about a new study that shows like a massive spike in the cause of autism related to fluoride. A lot to get to on Making America Healthy Again update with Dr. Lucky on those topics. And then Michael Weiner is going to join us. And we're going to do a quick update on whether or not we have a liquidity crisis. Of course, you probably saw the video already today. Look at this, folks. What a sad situation today. 6 people killed in New York in a helicopter doing a sightseeing tour. I mean, that is just horrific. Those 6 people, they clearly knew they were about to die. I mean, look at that splash. I have a video of it even more up close. I don't know, Logan, if you've heard, it's going around that maybe, I don't want to say it's actual. I mean, I don't know, but there's words that maybe this helicopter was doing maneuvers that it shouldn't have been doing, that the structure couldn't handle, because you can see that it's really just falling apart here. I mean, you can see the pieces falling off of it. It's going down. So again, I don't know what that's all about, but wow, what a sad, tragic situation that is. But anyway, I wanted to mention that tonight. Of course, don't forget worldviewreport.com. Okay, you can't chew on that. This is like the second night in a row I have to stop the show to stop you from pulling stuff off my little desk off to the side that you want to chew on. Dr. Peter McCullough would not be happy with me letting you chew on the Wellness Company kit, not to mention what's in there. Hopefully you're going to grow out of your puppy stage. You're going to be a year old come May 16th. I would think by now you've outgrown some of this, right? No, not really, Dad. Don't forget over at worldviewreport.com, we have the news every day. I spend actually quite a bit of time in the morning and throughout the day updating worldviewreport.com, your daily aggregated news site. Sometimes I say your daily aggravated news site. When it comes to Dolly, aggravation sometimes does start to be the issue. But this is your daily aggregated news site. So check it out, Worldview Report. Also, please consider going to worldviewtube.com/sponsors. WorldviewTube, you are a mess. WorldviewTube, you want to be banned from the studio if you don't watch it. Worldviewtube.com/sponsors, and you can find out how to support us, whether it's water purifier system, Bella Grace. What are you doing now? Bella Grace, Gold, Numi, glutathione, the 1775 coffee, all of it's there. Worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Do support us. We do need your support to keep the broadcast going. Worldview Talk to get your satellite phone and more. Worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Don't forget about your solar generators as well. Okay? Check it all out, right, Dolly? I'm not mad at you. I'm just trying to keep you in line. Look, can't have you tearing up the studio. Worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Think we should go to our first guest? Yeah, I think we should too. Check it all out, folks. Worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Joining me now is Garland Favorito. Garland literally has just landed from being in Washington, D.C. He joins us now with lots of breaking news. Garland, welcome back to Brennan House Live. Thanks for being with us.
Brandon, thank you for having me. It's a great day to be alive in America.
Great. Thank you for being with us tonight. I want to go to a clip. This is Tulsi Gabbard today in the cabinet meeting. We were told this was all conspiracy theory, even though the Democrats were saying it when President Trump won the first time around for his first term. Then apparently it became illegal to say, get you sued potentially. Listen to what she had to say to the nation in the cabinet room to President Trump today. Here we go.
I've got a long list of things that we're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this. Election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections.
Wow, there you go. She also says they have boxes and boxes of JFK, RFK assassination files that they've discovered that have not been scanned and will be released in the matter of days to the American people. But on the voting machines, apparently, again, we have evidence how these electronic voting machines have been vulnerable to hackers and exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast. Hello? Isn't that what Garland Favorito has been saying now for a couple decades, Garland?
Well, that's exactly right, Brandon. And it hasn't been just me. There's been a lot of other people saying the same thing, including you and Mike and Patrick Byrne, and the list goes on and on. It's there is a lot of evidence. The DOJ is conducting, and the DNI together, conducting a massive investigation. We've known about this for several months, and even people on our side, Brandon, have poo-pooed us when we try to bring this information up. And in fact, I just tried to bring some of this up literally a couple of days ago and was poo-pooed by some really top-notch election integrity people. So of course that'll all change.
Why do they want to act like this doesn't happen? It's a computer, for Pete's sake.
They were uninformed.
That's a nice way of putting it.
It's just uninformed. Well, I could, since they're on our side, I think that's
You're being diplomatic. That's fine.
Yeah, I have to be a little bit diplomatic, but it's all coming to light now, and we're really thrilled. We have been aware of this for some time. And
how do you think this is going to impact any lawsuits, say that of Mike Lindell and others?
I think that Mike is going to be vindicated. I think Patrick Byrne's going to be vindicated. And
Sidney Powell?
I think Sidney Powell will be vindicated.
How does Fox News go about getting their money back? Can they at that point? And what about Mike Lindell? More importantly, how does Mike Lindell get all his money back from all his lawyers? Not to mention, I would suggest maybe the damage some of these people did to him by the way they labeled him and characterized him to damage his brand, which maybe then put political pressure on retail box stores to pull his product. I mean, that's what it seems, in my opinion, to have happened. How does he now turn the tables on them? But of course, as soon as he does that, they're all going to scream and holler and go bankrupt and there's no money. I mean, it just seems like the bad people always win, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, we've got a massive. He's going to have a massive lawsuit to recover all the damages that were done to him.
You think so?
Oh, well, I mean, I would certainly want to do that. Of course, we have to wait until the evidence comes out, but because they're sitting on a lot of evidence. And
who's they? Who's sitting on a lot of evidence?
I think that as Tulsi said, the DNI is conducting a massive investigation in conjunction with
Director of National Intelligence,
with the Department of Justice, yes, and which was Pam Bondi's group. And I, from everything I'm hearing from my sources, and some of which are inside the department, and they're going to get to the bottom of it. So I believe they will absolutely find out what really happened. And then, of course, that would trigger an incredible damage suit for Mike Lindell. And Dominion should be loaded up with cash that they can give back to Mike and Patrick. If in fact Fox News ever really gave them $787 million, I mean, my question is, why would Fox News have given Dominion $787 million when it's only a company that was valued at 50 to 80 million, and they would have had to prove in court malicious damage. And I feel pretty confident that I could say that the Fox News attorneys had this evidence before they settled.
So what do you think is going on in your opinion?
Well, I think you have a major cover-up, and Brandon, you already know about it. But there is a massive cover-up by the media, and we've talked about it on your show before. We call it the Mockingbird media because the CIA had Operation Mockingbird, which was founded back in '78 by the Church Committee they had over 200 media assets worldwide. How many media assets do they have now? And we know, it's public, knowledge that they were attempting to control elections in other countries. So why wouldn't they be controlling or attempting to control elections in America, which is the most powerful country? And then you've got the recent information that's just we've come out from the Doge reviews, that George Soros was profiting with billions. He was setting up these NGOs and getting billions of bucks back through this. So how does all that tie into the elections fiasco that we've had? And was he involved in this? Or was it the CIA? Was it both? There's a lot of questions to be answered, but I believe that, Director Gabbard and, Attorney Bondi will get to the bottom of this one way or the other. I think they have, from everything I'm hearing, they have a great teams working on this of true patriots who will literally save our country because this is one heck of a fiasco that was just about to take America down. Well,
I'm trying to find it in my files, but there's a letter from Congressman Bill Posey of Florida back in December of 2021, saying he's writing to the CIA director, and I think he CC's in, I can't remember who the next person he CC'd in was, but, the Inspector General for the CIA. And he's saying there needs to be a federal investigation to see if there are any connections between the voting machines and the CIA. Now, we go back to, 1983, 84, off the top of my head, where U.S. Senator from North Carolina, Jesse Helms, is saying it seems as though the CIA is fooling around on elections down in Central America. So this is, and using some kind of machine system, tabulating system to do it. So we have a letter. I can't seem to find it right now as we're here. I'll look for it while you keep talking. But there is a letter out there open for anyone to find that this congressman from Florida says there should be an investigation to see if there are any connections between the voting machines and the CIA. We've done explicit shows on this. And one has to wonder, when you add in the Mockingbird media, the CIA, and all this, if this isn't all a big, gigantic head fake.
Amen, brothers. I think, yeah, and then you've got the issues with the CIA and the USAID, the connections there. So I think it'll all come out. It might take a little while, but we're going to get to the bottom of this, and we're going to find out, I believe, here's my prediction, that we literally have a national security crisis over the voting systems, and that we'll have to do something major immediately to have safe and secure elections next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's move on to Chris Krebs. Now, Chris Krebs, you and I talked about early on, because he came out and said that that was the safest election of all time. But then after he got fired, he went on MSNBC or one of them and said, China can hack us all the way down to the local election. Remember that?
Yes. And Brandon, I think we said this on your show before. One of our good friends, Lieutenant Colonel Sean Smith,
right,
literally testified with me as experts in Jeffrey Clark's bar trial. And he explained that just the month before CISA made that statement, Chris Krebs made that statement, the federal agencies had been compromised. Their own network monitoring systems that were supposed to protect them, the Orion system, was hacked itself by what were the two viruses, solar winds and supernova. So while he was telling the world that America had the safest and most secure election in history, he did not tell the world that CISA was completely incompetent and could not even protect the federal government agencies from the solar winds and supernova attacks on their own network monitoring systems. Their own Orion systems that were supposed to protect them were compromised without CISA's knowledge. They didn't even know it for some time. And we owe Lieutenant Colonel Sean Smith a debt of gratitude for explaining that and being willing to testify to that under oath in an incredibly important bar trial for Jeffrey Clark.
I can promise you, President Trump is driving the bus on this desire to go to paper to prove that these people are American citizens where they vote. The SAVE Act, which you were in D.C. today, by the way. You were in D.C. today. You just got back. You were in D.C. today, and you were there for the passage of the SAVE Act, correct?
Yeah, that's right. We were there for the passage of the SAVE Act in the gallery. Lauren Boebert made a great speech. I'll have to play her a little clip. We actually were laughing so hard we got reprimanded by the Speaker of the House, it was not Speaker Johnson.
Well, whoever was sitting there.
Yeah, whoever was sitting in his seat.
What'd they say? Quit laughing in the gallery?
Well, he was reminding everybody they had to be quiet. So we were pretty excited about that. We clapped when we had a very funny thing. We clapped when it passed, and one of the monitor up there in the gallery said, you're not supposed to say anything. And then he apologized to us as we were leaving. He says, well, I had to say that. So it was pretty funny. But
well, in fact, here is Lauren Boebert. Here she is today. Watch this, folks.
And bless my colleagues' hearts on the other side of the aisle, using married women as a gotcha for voting. I've never had to bring my birth certificate to prove that I was a registered voter. I have an ID that has a different name than my birth certificate. And also, since we're using women as bait here, maybe in the next round of debates, they could explain to us exactly what a woman is. I rise in support.
There you go. I was waiting for that. There you go.
And Brandon, that was us laughing up in the gallery.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's go back. I want to hear Garland laughing in the gallery.
I rise in support.
There you go. Back.
They could explain to us exactly what a woman is. I rise.
So that's you and your buddies up in the gallery laughing. That's hilarious.
So we had a team of people. I was up there with the Election Integrity Network, and we're trying to put together some help for the president's team on the executive orders that he or at least the first one. We want to make sure that's successful, and we want to do everything we can to make that successful.
Well, then there's Representative Becca Balint. Listen to this. Listen to this gal. Here you go.
Today, Republicans are trying to pass the SAVE Act. So many Vermonters have written to me and called my office with serious concerns about this bill. And the SAVE Act should really scare all of us. The name of the bill is perverse because it doesn't save our democracy. It doesn't protect voting. Instead, it has the potential to strip away the voting eligibility of nearly 70 million American women. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This Republican bill is a form of voter suppression. The SAVE Act would require documentation to prove U.S. citizenship when registering to vote. But your birth certificate...
Oh, no. Stop the presses. God forbid. Call out the civil rights movement. You have to prove you're a citizen of the United States before you vote. Oh, the tragedy. Give me a break. I mean, this woman is as dumb as a box of rocks. By the way, sweetheart, we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic.
And I would be willing to bet you anything, Brandon, that hardly anybody has called her office and said anything like that about the SAVE Act.
Give me a break. All right, here we go. A little bit more.
She agrees
to prove U.S. citizenship when registering to vote. But your birth certificate has to match your ID. As many of you know, this wouldn't work for the tens of millions of married women who have changed their names. The cost and time to change a birth certificate could put voting out of reach for so many. They know the real concerns and problems with this bill. They are well aware, and they have gone through with it anyway. That's why I say it's clearly a means of voter suppression. This is also yet another attack on trans Americans by House Republicans. I want women and trans Americans to know I'm standing up for you in Congress because this blatant voter suppression is an attack on our freedoms as Americans, an attack on our very democracy. So keep up the pressure, make your voices heard, and know I'm here fighting with you and fighting for you.
So all the trans, it's an attack on trans Americans.
So there's probably 3 trans in Vermont. So
Are we sure she's not one?
Well, no, I don't think we are sure. But let me just to get to the root of it.
I mean, come on. Are you sure? Are you really sure she's not? Come on. Are you really 100% sure?
I wouldn't bet on anything, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But Brandon, all anybody has to do, a woman who, if your name does not match your birth certificate, your new name, you just simply bring your marriage license in, and that's all you have to do.
Marriage. You're bringing your marriage license for what I'm sure this lady, along with all the other feminists, describe as your certificate of slavery, because that's what the feminists say marriage is. It's legalized slavery. Hillary Clinton wrote an article back in the 70s about this. These people are, this is nothing more. Okay, let me just tell you what it is. This is Marxism, okay? This is Marxism. Right. This is Marxism dressed up as feminism, women's rights, dressed up as attacks on democracy, which we're a constitutional republic. It's an attack on trans people, and the trans people and the LGBT people are nothing more than cannon fodder for their revolution. They could care less about illegal immigrants other than when they can use them to steal elections. They could care less about women except for when they can make money aborting their children. These people they are so evil. But this is pure Marxism. That's all this is.
Oh,
You know that to be true, don't you, Dolly? Pure
Exactly.
Marxism.
Yeah, I like your co-host there. She's special.
She has a higher IQ than that woman you just heard speak. She has more qualifications to be in Congress than this woman. What's her name? Becca.
Yeah. Well, we did get to go into the chapel at the Speaker House office today.
You did.
And give thanks. We prayed in there and to give thanks for the passage of the bill. And that was before we even knew what Tulsi had said. So
wow. Well, let's go to another issue, and that is how you doing on Facebook over there, Garland? You shadow banned, you blocked over there on Facebook, or you get much traction on Facebook?
Well, we're on Facebook simply because it's just an alternative platform.
But you get a lot of traction, you get shadow banned, you think people are seeing your stuff or not?
Well, we actually, we haven't, that's a good question. We haven't done a lot of search engine analysis on Facebook. We don't, spend a lot of time in it, given that it's a Zuckerberg platform.
Right, exactly. Well, we talked about it. Dolly, you better not be chewing anything up. Logan, you might want to stick your head out here. Make sure you're not chewing up one of your cameras on the floor. She's into something. I can't see. The desk is in the way. But we were talking today. What is she chewing on? The foam. That's what the foam that packs up one of the cameras to go to Milwaukee. That's what I thought it was. I actually do pretty well on Facebook. That's shocking. Why do you think I do well on Facebook? I know he doesn't know. But Colonel Rob Maness, has 198,000 people following him. He'll put things up on Facebook, not get one comment, not one view, not one like, nothing. I mean, he's clearly shadow banned. All right. Now, I mention all that because there was a whistleblower that was before Congress. And I'm just wondering if a lot of people are not seeing our stuff because the CCP doesn't want our message to get out. Listen to what she had to say. Listen to this.
My name is Sarah Wynne-Williams, and I served as the Director of Global Public Policy at Facebook, now Meta, for nearly 7 years, starting in 2011. Throughout those 7 years, I saw Meta executives repeatedly undermine U.S. national security and betray American values. They did these things in secret to win favor with Beijing and build an $18 billion business in China. We are engaged in a high-stakes AI arms race against China. And during my time at Meta, company executives lied about what they were doing with the Chinese Communist Party to employees, shareholders, Congress, and the American public. I sit before this committee today to set the record straight about these illegal and dangerous activities. Meta's dishonesty started with the betrayal of core American values. Mark Zuckerberg pledged himself a free speech champion. Yet I witnessed Meta work hand in glove with the Chinese Communist Party to construct and test custom-built censorship tools that silenced and censored their critics.
Wow. Comment on that, Harlan?
And I just want to double down on it. Again, we have to remember that Facebook was funded by the CIA. The CIA was involved in funding not only Facebook, but also Google, which in turn owns YouTube. So those are your three CIA platforms, and this is why, and if you notice, they are the three most oppressive platforms for American patriots. They are anti-American, platforms. So basically, that's it's interesting about the Chinese connection there, but this is why they are the top, platforms which basically suppress our viewpoints, the patriot viewpoints, so much over and over again. So we've replaced them with X. We've replaced YouTube with Rumble, and that's where we will probably stay. We have not had any issue of suppression on any of those. And of course, Twitter was bad before Elon Musk bought them. So things are changing. The times they are changing, as Bob Dylan says. Having to be watching that movie on the plane going home.
There you go. So, and by the way, I want to play this real quick. I think I played it yesterday, but I want to play on Washington Report, but I want to play it here because here's Donald Trump going after yesterday Chris Krebs signing an executive order related to this individual. Here we go.
Christopher Krebs, the former head of CISA. This is a man who weaponized his position against free speech in the election context, in the context of COVID-19. Presidential memorandum to the one you just signed.
It's the file, not us, by the way, guys.
You might have, and further instructs your Department of Justice, other aspects of your government, to investigate some of the malign acts that he participated in while he was still head of CISA.
This is another one. I don't know that I met him. I'm sure I met him, but I didn't know him. And he came out right after the election, which was a rigged election, a badly rigged election. We did phenomenally in that election. Look what happened to our country because of it. Open borders, millions of people coming into our country. Russia and Ukraine, that would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. Afghanistan, the way that they withdrew with 13 dead, but so many killed, actually. I mean, so many killed outside of the 13 soldiers, hundreds of people killed. And maybe, I don't know, never mentioned, but I mentioned it, 42 or 43 people so badly injured, the legs, the arms, blown off, the face. And this is all because of an incompetent group of people that preceded us, and that would have never happened. And this guy Krebs was saying, oh, the election was great, it was great. Well, it's been proven that it was not only not great. When you look at all these lawyers and law firms that are signing, giving us hundreds of millions of dollars. It was proven by so many different ways in so many different forms, from the legislatures not approving to the that worked from all of the different scamming operations. It was a very corrupt election. They used COVID to cheat. And we're going to find out about this guy too, because this guy's a wise guy. He said, we've proved this is the most secure election in the history of our country. Now, this was a disaster. And frankly, we should go to paper ballots, same-day voting, voter ID, and one other thing, you should get a little certificate that says you're a citizen of our country. You get a citizen piece of paper that says you're a citizen before you can vote. But you want voter ID and you want paper ballots, and you really want same-day voting. If you don't have same-day voting, they decide to change the air conditioner. Oh, we're fixing the air conditioner. Let's move all these boxes. We'll bring them back in a few days, and then they don't bring back those boxes. We got to have safe elections. We have to have borders. Ideally, we have to have a free press, which we don't have. We don't have a free press. We have a very dishonest press. This is an honor. We're going to find out whether or not he was right. This was a disgraceful election, and this guy sat back saying, well, I'm a member, or like he's a Republican or something, and almost right from the beginning, and he's tried to make the case that this election was a safe election. I think he said, this is the safest election we've ever had. And yet, every day you read in the papers about more and more fraud that's discovered. He's the fraud. He's a disgrace. So we'll find out whether or not it was a safe election. And if it wasn't, he's got a big price to pay. And he's a bad guy. There's another one. I have no idea who he is. Krebs. I have no idea who he is. I'm sure he was in the room at some point, just like you're all in the room, but I have no idea who he was. So thank you very much. Those last two are very important.
And if it's proven that it was a fraudulent election, what did he say about him? He's in big trouble. I mean, it sounds like President Trump is intent on some of these people being prosecuted. What does a individual like Chris Krebs go and do for a living after you've been proven to be such a, in my opinion, a useful idiot?
I don't even think he could be a used car salesman.
I know exactly. Who would buy from him, right?
Yeah, and we mentioned that, again, I have to reiterate, the United States government was hacked without Sis's knowledge right before he made that statement. It's an absolute disgrace. And Brandon, not only were the agencies hacked, but they included the Nuclear Security Administration agency. The network monitors for them were hacked as well. And Brandon, we have in Georgia alone 13 different types of outcome determinative fraud, errors, and irregularities that our volunteers have documented over the last 4 years. So for him to say it was the most safe and secure election in American history and never even look at a shred of our evidence, there's only two words for that, and they are massive corruption.
Do we have the clip where he said you could hack all the way down to the local election anymore, Logan? That was Chris Krebs saying that. I think it was one of the morning news shows or something, and he said you could hack the election. After he got out of the job, he said that China could hack the election, could hack us all the way down to the local election. I mean, we played that clip. We got to have it in our archive because we played it over and over and over. But the guy was not saying that. You know, he has spoken out of both sides of his mouth over and over. I mean,
yeah.
just.
And Brandon, the way that would happen, and it could be China, it could be the voting system vendors, but the way that happens is that they are all equipped with wireless connectivity, the components. In the Dominion Mesa County Forensic Report number 2, thanks to Tina Peters, amazing report up on Tina Peters' website, tinapeters.us. Doug Gould, highly credentialed cybersecurity expert, found that there were 35 wireless devices in Mesa County components alone. That is, one county's components had 35 plus wireless devices, and the head of Dominion and the Secretary of State of Colorado said, oh no, these are not connected to the internet. They have lied to us for years, and they should pay the price for each and every lie.
Yep. Speaking of Tina Peters, what's going on? I mean, I know those are state charges. Is this poor lady going to get out?
Tamara tracks that closer than I do. We know that she recently got moved to a Denver prison from Larimer. We were concerned about that. We have heard from her. She says that the food was better. She was basically living off of peanut butter pretty much in some of the other places where she's been. So at least she's getting a little bit of nourishment. But we need to get her out. There's a massive campaign to get Tina out, free Tina.us. So we are just keeping the pressure on. The people in Colorado are doing a great job, and it's a major national issue. And the Department of Justice converted that from a civil investigation to a criminal investigation. And the first couple of people they need to start with is Judge Matthew Barrett and then DA Rubenstein out there in Colorado. They were the ones that were most responsible for Tina Peters being in a jail cell right now. Let's hope she gets out and they take her place.
Indeed. Yeah, indeed. VoterGA.org, literally, Garland Federico just touching down, making it back to his studio just in minutes. VoterGA, who's in D.C., as you heard earlier. VoterGA.org, VoterGA.org. As always, Garland, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Brandon. Great interview.
Thank you. Absolutely. It's a great interview. What did you think of that interview, Dolly? I thought it was a great interview, didn't you? If you appreciate the broadcast, folks, and why wouldn't you, right? If you appreciate the broadcast, we need your support. Would you consider going right now here? WorldviewTube.com, WorldviewTube.com/sponsors. I've shown it to you already tonight, but I need you to go there, and I need you to specifically consider getting a hold of some of these great products like Gatatana. I take it every day. Dolly gets a half a scoop on her food every day, loaded with so many essential vitamins and things, trace minerals, amino acids, protein, so much that's good for you and your pet. Please consider checking that out. Melissa House, GPA.com. I take that every day. You know, I take every day my Bella Grace. I take that every day. This powerful elixir that has over 80 clinical trials behind it. You know, I swish with my Numi. That has got glutathione in it that helps to detox your cells. And some studies show it may remove mercury from your brain and help prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. And what do you think you're doing? You think everything is for you, don't you? You look like a wild polar bear or something right now. You are a piece of work. Check it out, swishforlife.com, swishforlife.com. Stock up on your meds. We do want to be careful not to take too many antibiotics, only when we need them. I'll talk about that later in the show. But look, folks, if we go to a serious, massive trade war here with China, the concern will be that we maybe run out of some of our prescriptions. We had stories last week that we've shown you from the news where people are talking about not being able to get all their prescriptions filled when they go to a pharmacy. What do you think is going to happen when we go to war with China, where we sadly still get a lot of our pharmaceuticals? So we need antibiotics. We have to use them wisely. But folks, I would urge you to have them on hand. Worldviewstore.com or worldviewtube.com/sponsors to find out how you can do that. You can also find out about their enhanced and ultimate plans where you get free prescriptions or free prescriptions and free supplements through the Wellness Company. Get your kits on hand because you don't know what kind of emergency might occur. And if you need antibiotics, it could be life or death. So you need to go ahead and check that out. Worldview Water, the purification system, you know about that. Worldview Talk, that's your satellite phone. I'm going to go to Milwaukee soon for our conference. I'm taking my satellite phone with me. Absolutely, I am. Along with, by the way, several other of our emergency supplies that are available in our store. But speaking of which, we now have over 1,200 people registered, for this rally coming up Tuesday night, April 15th, at the Waukesha Expo Center just outside of Milwaukee. We'd love to have you there. It's free. You can register at worldviewtube.com/events. It is free, but you do need to register. worldviewtube.com/events. Please get your tickets now and spread the word to your family or friends who might be in the area or close by who could join us. Myself, Dr. Andy Woods, and Aaron Lavarco, our reporter from Israel, on the ground with us Tuesday night. Now, we are live streaming it for Vault members only. So if you're a member of the Vault, you will be able to live stream it, but you'll have to be a member of the Vault. That's one of our ways of saying thank you for being a Vault member. And you can do that at WorldviewTube. Join at WorldviewTube. Don't chew the cords. WorldviewTube.com. I think this is why my one stopped working a while ago. WorldviewTube.com/Vault. WorldviewTube.com/Vault. Again, worldviewtube.com/Vault. My kids say, you are more patient with that dog than you were with us. I think that just comes with age. Although I was pretty long-suffering with you guys, wasn't I, Logan? I was pretty mellow, but I have mellowed more in my old age. But my kids laugh because they say, you are so patient with that dog. Well, how can you not be, all right? Let's see, what else? It's all there. Worldviewtube.com/sponsors. It's all there. I hope you'll check it out because we need your support to keep this broadcast going. So thank you for doing that. Joining me now is Annie Cyrus, born and raised in Iran, an expert on Iran, and she has been tracking what's going on with the potential strike by Israel and the U.S. on Iran. President Trump has come out and said that if there's a strike necessary, that Iran needs to lead the way. Here's the headline right here. Trump on Iran. If it requires military action, Israel will be the leader of that. Got plenty of articles and some video clips to share with you tonight. And she joins us now. Annie, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Brandon.
What do you make of this comment by President Trump out today, April 10th, that if Iran is going to get hit, you're going to get their nuclear weapons gone after, Israel's going to have to lead the way? Why do you think President Trump is coming out and saying this?
To be honest, I don't even know why he's doing what he's doing anymore. It's very confusing, but this very specific part, my guess is he's still trying to find some sort of leverage with his deal that is going to start Saturday. He's trying to have that leverage. Us leading the attack, information distance, all of that isn't as scary as Israel leading the attack for the regime of Iran. That's my best guess.
Wait a minute. You're saying it's scarier for Iran if Israel's the one leading it, not the U.S.?
Absolutely. Yes. It will be way more terrifying.
Really? Okay. Well, I'd love to hear why. Aaron, on my radio show earlier today, said that, and he said this live on the air the other day, that the footage of Benjamin Netanyahu coming out of the White House after his meeting with President Trump, he said this live on the air when I played it. He said, Brandon, I see a look in Netanyahu's face and body language that says that this is his description, he is like a dog with his tail under his legs. That was what Aaron said. He said, that's the body language and the look I see in Netanyahu's face after just meeting with Trump. And he was carrying a book. And I was thinking to myself, wonder what book he's carrying. Well, the press said it was a signed copy by Donald Trump of his book, The Art of the Deal.
Yes.
And Netanyahu says, Aaron says that Netanyahu is being criticized by some in Israel for being too timid, too hesitant. Of course, I was on the radio and TV before October 7th, and I was getting pretty loud one night, pretty loud and angry, because I felt Benjamin Netanyahu was too busy kissing Biden's ring and not taking care of what was best for Israel when it came to defense. And of course, within a few weeks, we had October 7th. And I think there's frustration in Israel, according to Aaron, who lives there, that there are Israelis over there that are very, very bold and wanting this to be dealt with, and they feel that Netanyahu has a history of being too timid. And he went in to explain why he thinks that's the case. What are your thoughts on all that?
I would say what I saw was more of a disappointment in his body language than anything else. And you can add a lot of Iranians to that list, by the way, of the frustration. Iranians inside Iran or outside, including myself, are very frustrated with this. The whole deal situation. I know some people think something good is going to come out of this, but me and you and most of your audience are pretty sure nothing good is going to come out of this deal. So what I saw in Netanyahu was, I'm going to walk in there and we're going to close the deal. We're going to go after Iran. We're going to finish it. But then he left with you just hold off for now and I'll see what I can do with the deal.
Okay,
and
so
yes,
that's interesting.
I did see that was the book as well, The Art of Deal.
Isn't that very interesting? So Aaron thinks it was a look of his tails between his legs, and you think it was a look of disappointment. I came here to get commitments from Trump that we're going to go do this, and Trump's saying, you got to learn the deal, how we get the deal. Here's my book, go read it. I'm working the art of the deal. This is very, because I respect both of your opinions, so this is going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. There is an article today over at the Gatestone. Here it is, Trump and the Supreme Leader's Trap. Trump and the Supreme Leader's Trap. The Amir Tahari wrote it. Do you know Amir, Annie?
Yes, I do follow some of his work, yes.
What do you know about him?
I follow some of his work. I personally do not agree with about 70% of his analysis, but he's well educated on the topic. It's just a difference of opinion when it comes to translation of actions and reactions.
Okay. He's saying that Tehran's aim is either to derail the whole thing in direct negotiations with the Trump administration and blame Trump, or go into slow motion mode in the hope that the U.S. midterm elections might puncture the Trump balloon. He's basically saying, look, these guys have slow walked about 7 presidents. Is this going to be the 8th? I can't see this thing dragging out to midterms. Can you?
No, I don't. But I will say one comment he made there. It's not necessarily his words, because the former head of Khamenei, Supreme Leader of Iran's advisors, did say yesterday that this dictator, referring to Trump, won't last long. So we got nothing to worry about. Part of Iran regime are under this illusion that Trump's not going to even make it to finish this negotiation because he's going to get impeached and removed. So that's where Amir's coming from. However, I don't think I do, Brandon. I do think this deal is going to drag on because President Trump is desperately looking for this deal right now. Well, I know there are so many opinions out there, but he is not trying to get this strike. He's not trying to be diplomatic, try always before all of the ways before he goes attacking. No, he wants this deal to make history.
And is it also, though, Annie, that he realizes if we go to war with Iran, we now have Russia back there saying, you guys are not going to strike Iran, and if you do, that's going to be a problem. So, I mean, are we going to get America stretched into a multi-theater situation here, and then China's going to move on Taiwan and blockade, or who knows? I mean, is President Trump thinking, I'm not going to walk into a trap. I'm not going to have the globalist and the folks in Europe and other people walk me into a trap. I'm not doing that. I'm not sending people's kids off to die and doing this. Is he trying to cut a deal also because he knows that we have massive terrorists here in the U.S.? Here's Joe Kent. He's the director, National Counterterrorism Center. He is the nominee. He's had hearings here in the last day or so. I had the privilege of interviewing him in person. Actually, we were at CPAC, and I was interviewing him, and the power went out. And we sat in the dark at CPAC waiting for the power to come back on. And we had a great conversation just off the record, back and forth, while we were waiting for that power to come back on. We've had him on at other times as well. But I want you to listen to what, and of course, he lost his wife overseas, who was the mother of his children. She was fighting ISIS. Listen to what he's had to say, because maybe President Trump knows this as well.
They brought tens of thousands of unvetted Afghans into the United States of America. Now, NCTC has done their job, and they've identified over 1,400 of these Afghans as having ties to ISIS and to other terrorist groups. Yet Biden let them into the interior of the United States. Same thing with a bunch of ISIS-affiliated Tajiks and Uzbeks who came into the United States of America as well. There's around 600 of them that were also identified by NCTC that are here in America right now.
There are over...
Right, so there you go. What about all of these terror cells? He knows they're here. I'm sure he's told President Trump they're here. Is President Trump trying to get a deal because he knows a strike against Iran, particularly if the U.S. is involved, is going to mean terror strikes here in our homeland?
It could be, yes, but it's one of those situations, Brandon. He makes a deal or not. I guess he needs to show strength and not fear. Remember, we're dealing with the biggest recent years of biggest terrorist organizers and funders out there, which is the regime of Iran. If they even sense that, oh, okay, we're going to try to make a deal with them so they don't attack us here, that's even worse. And by the way, I want to say, me and you, we have actually covered what you just played many times. From the withdrawal, we were on air, talk about showing pictures of this guy's not even Afghan, that guy's Palestinian. So, but here's the tone of it though. ISIS and Al-Qaeda, the chances of them attacking us here in America because we attacked Iran are very slim. Very slim. They would prefer, because remember, ISIS and Al-Qaeda are hoping by removal of IRGC in Middle East, they gain the momentum to take over. Right now, they have not been able to conquer as much as they want because Iran's regime is there. So I would say also we should take into consideration that we're not going to get attacked by ISIS or Al-Qaeda soldiers if we go after Iran. Are we going to have the risk of possibly getting attacked with IRGC and the Houthis and Hamas members? Yes.
How about Hezbollah?
Hezbollah as well. But here's a funny or breaking funny story. Nighttime, our time last night, morning of Middle East, Hezbollah actually said if U.S. stops any attacks on Hezbollah and Lebanon, they're willing to talk disarming. How's that for a possibility? They're willing to talk to us and disarm themselves and become nothing but a government. So again, And by the way, Khamenei is losing popularity rapidly.
The Khomeini.
Khamenei, yes, the supreme leader of Iran. As of right now, as we speak, the number of within the government of Iran, people who are asking for him to resign and step down is growing by minute. He's losing power just over disagreeing, by the way, for agreeing to sit down with Trump in direct negotiations. That's the key. They have no problem with indirect, but since he agreed to sit down direct, not himself, his representative, that's becoming a problem. My point is...
Okay, let me stop right there. Are you saying that the hardliners in his country now are starting to abandon him?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
So you got the hardliners abandoning him, and you've got the Persians who don't want to live under Sharia. They're wanting liberty and freedom. So you now have a fractured problem over there that comes back to where you were talking here on the show a couple weeks ago. President Trump should go to the third option, which is be helping using his CIA, his intelligence community to carry out a revolution in Iran, which our CIA and intelligence community has done that before over there, right?
And here's the thing, we don't even need that, Brannon. The Prince Pahlavi is ready to take power. And I just want to say this because somebody commented when I was on your show. He is not going back to be the king of Iran. He has said that he's willing to create a temporary government, not a kingdom, until people of Iran figure out what's going on. So let's be very clear. He's not looking for his dad's crown back. He's not going for monarchy. But he is willing to take power, so we don't have to worry about who do we put in country to keep it under control. People of Iran are ready to march the streets already. About 70% of the job is done. All we're asking is don't make a deal with them. Don't even talk to them. Just ignore them like they don't exist. That's all we need to do. And shake the hands of the prince as of support. Like, okay, we will accept you as the new government. That's all there is to it. Inside country, there's a fraction. Half of the regime want Khamenei gone. The other half are telling him, this is great because you're going to buy us time. This morning on X, one of the military members put out a tweet saying, this is great. We'll have enough time to move all of our enriched materials to a different location. That's where they're at, Brannon. These are slow talks. That's why Israelis are also very frustrated. They're moving everything as we speak. These threats are empty at this point. A bunch of bombs might be a strike, but we're not going to target what we were planning because they're moving everything to different locations. How long until we relocate all of them?
Well, and here is Netanyahu saying Iran deal must entail blowing up, dismantling nuclear sites.
That's not going to happen. It won't. And then again, you have inside administration, Trump administration, you have people like Tulsi Gabbard that myself and Trevor Loudon have been warning about, sitting there with a straight face saying, we have no intel that would say they're making a bomb. They're not even working on a bomb. So I think, again, we're...
Why would she say that? Why would she say that?
Well... I personally, from day one, I said Tulsi Gabbard is not some person who came to her senses and became a Republican because she loves America. No. She knew where the wind is blowing, and she decided to come out and getting a position in this administration. My biggest warning was wait for the day when she will be caught for leaking information, sensitive information. That's Tulsi Gabbard to me. Her stance against Russia, Iran, has always been very questionable. And now she's willing to sit and testify in front of Congress that my information says they're honoring their supreme leader's judgment of 2003 to not pursue nuclear bomb. And they're just taking notes like, okay, great. Okay, no nuclear bomb, we're good. Let's go make a deal with Iran. Again, Trump, I wish President Trump would talk to Iranian experts. Because he's still getting wrong information. He is. He's not getting all the good advice he should get.
Do you think he's getting conflicting information from his own own cabinet?
Yes.
Own IC
100%.
community?
Yes.
Iran transfers long-range missiles to Iraq in major escalation. What do you make of this from a couple days ago? Yesterday, actually.
That's where I started answering you, but everything is very confusing right now. The actions and the words are so mismatching. They're not matching. It's okay. One hand, supposedly the Iran regime or supreme leader is willing to sit down and have a negotiation, and knowing part of the negotiation is they need to behave, they need to stop. On the other hand, they are still actively trying to take control of Iraq, since they've been trying to do it, by the way, since Saddam Hussein was taken down. They are also actively trying to get into Syria. So which one is it? Are you going to negotiate, back down, and just sit down, or are you actively still trying to conquer the entire Middle East? Because Iran is actively trying to get into Syria. And by get in, I mean own it, conquer it, rule it. And that's what they're doing.
Let's see, what else we got? Talk to me about, have you been following our coverage on all of the Islamic developments, Irving, Texas, Dallas, Texas,
Yes.
Plano, Texas? I mean, it seems like they're trying to take down Texas. And I think they're willing to do it because if they can take down Texas, they can take down any country, I mean, any state. What do you say?
Well, I have actually started calling Texas the possibly the first Sharia state in America.
Wow.
Not the city anymore, the state. Now, mind you, when this was happening many years ago, some of us were talking about it. Most people were ignoring it. Right now, for example, Fort Worth, Dallas area has just the Iranian population is over 32,000. You add the Afghans and the Arabs and the Pakistanis and the Bangladeshis, all of them into it. Fort Worth, Dallas is not America anymore. It's not. Are all of them Muslim Middle Easterns? No, but enough of them are Muslim Middle Eastern. Then they started importing them into Austin. Then they started importing them they are everywhere. Brandon, about 2 years ago, I moved to Dallas for about 9 months.
Yep.
I watched it with my own eyes. I walked on the street. I'm like, where are the Americans? Where am I? What is happening? Half the population is wearing the hijab and half the stores are selling halal. So
explain what halal is. We always like to define things for new people. What's halal?
Sure. Halal is the allowed product under Islam. It could be food. It could be materials. I mean, at this point, they're even doing halal hair dye for women apparently lately, but it's what is allowed under Sharia, either through prayers or how it was prepared.
So like meat,
food.
Meat that's been offered to
Allah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. As far as food goes, any food that was prepared, or if it's meat or chicken or anything slaughtered in the right way, which is so barbaric, in the name of Allah and sacrificed to Allah, then becomes something as a Muslim you're allowed to eat.
And that's that's all over Dallas now.
Everywhere. There were two places I could go to, Walmart or I forgot the name of the other big chain store, to get normal meat that wasn't halal. Every other supermarket, a small corner supermarket, was halal meat, halal meat, halal meat. And by the way, even if the whole store is American, they have one item that's halal, I will not shop at that store, because for selling halal, they have to cut Islamic taxes from that product and send it back to the Islamic leaders of that society. Therefore, I won't buy anything, even if it's not halal, from a store that is selling halal product. So I was stuck with Walmart. Was literally the only place I could go and get things and survive. So Dallas was conquered already. It was. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, no, it's Texas. But yes, Brannon, if what is happening right now, if properly it's not stopped, I will say by latest, 2030, Texas will be the complete Sharia state in America.
By 2030?
By 2030, it will be completed. We even had Will Johnson, dear friend of mine. We sent him. He was willing to do it. He went undercover at one of the Islamic centers outside of Austin, Texas, and did a full report. At some point, he was terrified because the imam took him upstairs on the roof, and he was like, I was terrified. They're going to just push me off the roof, which thankfully they didn't. But he captured everything. Kids being brainwashed, all the meetings going on. And by the way, this Islamic Center has ties to Iran, just for the record. We did a full investigation into them. And when I released the information, people from Austin was like, really? There's an Islamic Center here? Where? They're not paying attention.
Nope. Well, you know that Usama and Shramanai in 2017 tried warning about Yasser Qadi. We were doing it several years before that, but it really heated up in 2017. And it was crickets. It was crickets that this guy was here bringing in Siraj Wahhaj, unindicted co-conspirator in the bombing of the World Trade Center and others. And now he's moved on to Plano to build this 402-acre compound. What do you think Greg Abbott will do about it, the governor? You think he's full of hot air? Because I think he is. I
am with you on that. Yes, absolutely. He is not going to lift a finger. He's going to do a lot of talking.
A lot of tweeting.
But he's not going to do anything about it. It's going to have to be the people of Texas to do something about it.
Why do you think he's afraid? Is it money? Is it he's afraid of them, or is it money deals, Middle East deals? I don't know where his personal finances or things are, where he's got his money invested. But why do you think he won't do what's right by Texas?
I think with him is that he's always so terrified of labels. I really think it's the fear of those labels. He doesn't want to go down in history as the Islamophobic, racist man. Generally, he's mainly worried about that. Or possibly, remember, when the numbers are high, he doesn't want to lose the next election. If he pushed too hard against them, he's going to lose all the votes, or majority of the votes, because a lot of them are Muslims or Muslim sympathizers. So that's also part of it. He doesn't want to lose them. He's too afraid of losing votes, position, and being labeled. Because a few times I have noticed that he backed down when labels started coming in. He very much softened his tone and then gradually stopped talking about the topic of Sharia. This isn't the first time he's coming out tweeting. He's done it before, many times before, but he never does anything about it.
Well, he sure let the border sit with nothing going on for a long time.
Exactly.
All right, live up to free. Anything else you need to tell us before we let you go?
One thing I want to say is pay, not to your audience, pay very close attention to the U.S.-Israel relation while this Iran deal goes on. I'm hoping, people don't start showing anti-Semitism based on reaction of people of Israel or even the government. It might come to a very, very narrow, tough moment of making decision for Netanyahu, Trump versus Iran. So just keep an open mind that just because Trump's doing it doesn't mean it's the best deal or the best option. Just watch it as it plays out.
Live up to freedom. Good advice. LiveUpToFreedom.com. LiveUpToFreedom.com. That's Annie's website. You can find out about her and her podcast and everything there. LiveUpToFreedom.com. As always, Annie, thank you for your analysis on these issues.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, Brennan.
Thank you, Annie. Annie Cyrus, LiveUpToFreedom.com. All right, folks, I did pre-record an interview this afternoon with Dr. Lucky. So I want to bring that to you now, and then we're going to be joined by Michael Weiner on a liquidity crisis. Are we headed toward a liquidity crisis? All right. You are about the most needy dog there is. You just need attention, don't you? You are my buddy. There's no doubt about it. We are always together, aren't we? Are you going to go to Milwaukee? Yeah, you're going with us to Milwaukee. It's going to be my first time to go up north. I've never been up north, y'all. You're going to see what you like about it. She notices the distinct difference between the grass. I can promise you that. She will notice the difference. Our grass is definitely different down here. That's going to be interesting. Yeah, you'll notice it. All right, so I did pre-record this today with Dr. Lucky. Fascinating interview about to hear. Watch this. Joining me now is Dr. Lucky. We're going to respond to what just went down today in the cabinet room with RFK Jr. Listen to what he had to say.
Mr. President, we are working at HHS to advance your agenda to make America healthy again. I'm working with Lee Zeldin to reassess the fluoride rules based upon the August release by the National Toxicity Program of new science that shows a direct inverse correlation between exposure to fluoride and IQ loss, particularly in children. Lee and I were in Utah this week, to announce that Utah became the first state in the country to ban supplemental fluoride. I'm working with Brooke and governors now in 24 states who are advancing MAHA legislation to get soda pops off of the food stamp program, off the SNAP program. We've launched Operation Stork Speed to get the bad chemicals out of baby formula. We're working with governors across the country to get good food into the school lunch programs and to get rid of food chemical dyes and other bad chemicals that are in our food. We've shown now that this directly affects academic performance, violence in the schools, and mental health, as well as physical health. We are working with governors across the country to get cell-to-cell or bell-to-bell legislation to restrict the use of cell phones in schools, which again dramatically impacts academic performance. Today we announced a dramatic reduction in animal testing at NIH and FDA. We're going to switch over to AI, which we've now found is much more precise in identifying the impacts of toxics in various products. We're working with Elon, who's done an incredible job to eliminate the redundancies and to streamline operations at all the health agencies and to recalibrate our trajectory to your agenda of making America healthy again. And finally, the CDC has done an amazing job at getting the measles outbreak under control. We have about 680 cases now in 22 states, compared to the same outbreak in Europe, which is 127,000 cases and 37 deaths. Our numbers in this country have now plateaued. And I want to thank CDC for that. And we're trying to refocus the press. We've had 3 measles deaths in this country over 20 years. And we're trying to refocus the press to get them to pay attention to the chronic disease epidemic as you've asked us to. We have now 38% of American youth are pre-diabetic. This was unknown 30 years ago. Every child that becomes diabetic, there should be a headline about them. We have 100 million adults who are pre-diabetic or diabetic. And we have, we have now, the autism rates have gone from now most recent numbers we think are going to be about 1 in 31. 1 in 12, so they're going up again from 1 in 10,000 when I was a kid. And we are going, at your direction, we are going to know by September. We've launched a massive testing and research effort that's going to involve hundreds of scientists from around the world. By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic, and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures.
So big. Think of that. So it was 1 in 10,000 children had autism, and now it's 1 in 31. Not 31,000, 31. That's a horrible statistic, isn't it? And there's got to be something artificial out there that's doing this. So you think you're going to have a pretty good idea, huh?
We will know by September.
There will be no bigger news conference than that. So that's it. If you can come up with that answer, where you stop taking something, you stop eating something, or maybe it's a shot, but something's causing it. It can't be from 10,000 to. Can you imagine that, Marco? That's a big number. Thank you very much. You're doing great. Thank you, Bobby.
Wow. Did you ever think, Dr. Lucky, you would see a conversation like that by a president in the cabinet room, unfiltered, live, going out, no political correctness, no protecting big pharma, just this is no protecting big ag. This is the way it is. I mean, this is huge. But that number, President Trump has been saying 1 in 36. Now it's 1 in 31. It's going up. The number of kids getting autism is going up. 1 in 31. You know, we did a segment the other day that the government has been lying, woo, shocker, and telling parents that the thimerosal is not in some of these shots, which is tied back to autism. They've been lying and saying, oh, we took it out in 2001. It's a lie, apparently. We even showed screenshots where the CDC was saying they took it out. That's a lie. We have the proof. We have the receipts. That's still in shots. We've got families who have been, their children have been injured. Their medical costs are high. Their education and tutoring costs are high. Some of these kids are so badly now on the spectrum, they have to bring in specialists, teachers. I know marriages have been destroyed because their healthy, happy children got these shots the government lied about, knew, and now those children are so damaged and so requiring of special attention, the stresses it put and the behavioral issues that it puts on marriages, and these marriages fall apart. I mean, the number of people that need to be prosecuted criminally is off the chart. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but you go. I'm going to hop off my soapbox. You go.
Well, I mean, they unpackaged a lot in that short live we just listened to, but we'll talk about the first topic, which is obviously this number. When I got into practice, it was 1 in 10,000, like they said, and now it's 1 in 36, going down to 1 in 131. Look at this that I pulled up earlier from Autism Speaks. 175% increase in over a decade. What is going on? Well, when you take a look at the history, right, back in, I want to say in the 80s, don't quote me on the exact date, but the vaccine manufacturers were getting sued so much, they wanted to stop manufacturing because they were getting sued. Well, the government stepped in and said, no, we're going to take liability off of you, and we're going to set up a fund so that every little bit of money, every time somebody's vaccinated, a little bit of money will go into that fund so that when there's a vaccine injury, that the parents can pull from that. Well, in order to get to that fund, it takes a lot, and a lot of parents never get to it. But I remember a story, if I could tell a real quick story. Yeah. In 1998, when I started practice, I'll never forget, I got out of school in June, and I started seeing like every single parenting magazine. Oh, we're going to end childhood diarrhea. This new rotavirus, RotaShield, is going to end diarrhea. You're never going to have to change another diarrhea diaper in your life. Until about 11 kids died of intussusception, which is basically the bowels were twisted on itself. So they never did the appropriate studies on this. And then when you take a look at RFK, he made them admit probably a year ago or so that the FDA has never done a controlled placebo, not only on the COVID vaccine, but on any vaccine. He made them admit, took him a year and a half, but he finally got them to admit they've never done a controlled placebo on any vaccine they've given us. Now, when I was young, I think we probably had 12. It's over 110 now, over 110. And if you gave your child all of them at one time, your child would not be able to leave that doctor's office because of how much is in there. I'll give you another stat too. If you were to take just the list of ingredients off the vaccine, just a list, and you called poison control and didn't tell them it was a vaccine, but said, hey, my child just accidentally swallowed this and thimerosal, which is basically mercury, and this and this and this and this. You know what what poison control would tell you? What? Get your child to the emergency room immediately. They are poisoned. It's insane. So, I never understood how they've been able to convince us all or convince most people to have all these shots for our kids. It's really been, for me, watching it has been hard. especially when I knew how bad that rotavirus was. And I said, well, that one's bad. Other ones must be bad as well. So when you take a look at I pulled this up, the news media, 1987, 2001, about they don't talk about the kids that died, but they did talk about withdrawing that. I'll pull it right here, where they withdrew that vaccine after it obviously caused
killed 11 kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was killing the kids. They took it off. And it's interesting when they lied to you about taking out thimerosal out of the vaccine, and they never did, and it was proven it was still in there. Those things are dangerous. They're poisons, and we should not have it in their in their food system. But I located something I think that you will really enjoy. If I could just take 10 seconds, if I can pull it up. Let's listen to the guy who started these things and see what he had to say about them. I don't know if I can play this or not. And if I can't play it, then we'll just talk about it. Oh,
there's Fauci.
Yeah, there's Fauci. Fauci in this interview from 2004 said, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to play it, said that if you get, here, let me just back it up. I want you to hear it from his mouth.
Vaccination. That's a very, very small minority of it. And unfortunately, that appears to be the case with you.
But she's had the flu for 14 days. Should she get a flu shot?
Well, no. If she got the flu for 14 days, she's as protected as anybody can be, because the best vaccination is to get infected yourself.
All right. So the best vaccination is to get infected yourself. Brandon, do you remember going to chickenpox parties?
Oh, I know people that had them, yes.
Right. Yeah. I went to the chickenpox parties. People came when I got chickenpox, they invited the kids over because it's a self-limiting disease, meaning your body is going to get the disease, and then a healthy immune system is going to fight it on its own, and then you're naturally protected. You want to know why everybody's getting shingles as an adult? Because they're sticking everybody with vaccines.
I've known several people this year. I've known several people in the last 12 months, adults, that have had the shingles.
Right. When did you ever know adults with shingles? 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago? Unheard of. Right? Unheard of. So it's a matter of we are putting these things in our bodies and trying to trick our immune system. The best defense is a good offense, which is a good immune system. Your immune system controls. It's 80% of your immune system lives in the gut. We talked about it before, but when your immune system, I talked about it the whole time during COVID. It's not about standing 6 feet away from each other. It's not about masks. It's about you taking care of your immune system. And what do they say, Brandon? If you've got inflammation, your body will not be able to fight COVID near as good as if you don't have inflammation. And that's what we did when we came out with the Bella Grace Elixir, which I know we're talking about in a minute. But when you can eliminate inflammation in your body is going to be able to fight off lots of things.
Take a look at this. This is good news. Our buddy Nick Helsher is putting out there that Arizona, Pennsylvania join growing list as victims accuse federal health leaders of murder, assault, abuse, and medical terrorism over COVID-era policies. Oh, looky there. Fauci, Francis Collins. He's a horrible person. He uses religion, by the way, big time, to try to push his garbage. Deborah Birx, she's disgusting. Disgusting. Can you imagine have to be married to that thing? Dr. Rochelle Walensky, Dr. Stephen Hahn, Dr. Cliff Lane, Dr. Robert Redfield, Peter Daszak, Ralph Barrick, we've heard that name a lot, Rick Bright, Janet Woodcock, and Dr. Peter Hotez. Isn't the guy we played the video of saying that when Trump's administration starts, all these pandemics are going to happen, and that was him. Alleged crimes: murder, involuntary manslaughter, negligent homicide, assault, abuse, coercion, reckless endangerment, kidnapping, forced labor, terrorism, racketeering, operating a corrupt organization. April 8th, 2025, the Virus Law Group, in collaboration with the former Feds Group, Freedom Foundation, submitted formal criminal referral requests to the Attorney General of Arizona and Pennsylvania. These filings urge state prosecutors to open criminal investigations into Dr. Anthony Fauci and other prominent public health and government officials for alleged crimes committed during the COVID-19 pandemic. The referrals are based on detailed evidence, including the stories of over 80 victims and families, and allege that policies such as lethal hospital protocols, the denial of life-saving treatments, and systemic medical coercion led to widespread injury and death. Similar filings have been submitted on behalf of constituents in Florida, Louisiana, Texas, Missouri, and Oklahoma, marking a coordinated nationwide effort to pursue justice through state and local authorities. Sorry your pardon from Biden and the auto pen is not going to work. Apparently these attorney generals are going after these people. This is what we need. I'm not a big guy for throwing non-violent people in prison, but when you start doing what these guys have done, that I believe has resulted in physical harm and death, now it's time, I believe, for charges and maybe more than jail time if that's what the courts decide. But until we see some medical doctors go to prison or get fined, lose their practice, medical doctors, maybe then they'll stop pushing this garbage and bullying parents. Like the pediatrician, the piece of trash pediatrician we went to, who bullied my wife and I with our first child back in the mid-90s when we were questioning him about the vaccines, and he made us feel about this big. I wish I knew then what I knew now. I could have told him, you're a piece of trash. You're a piece of disgusting trash. And we would have walked out of his office. You know, I doubt he's repented. Curses on him and his. These guys need to lose their license.
Yeah, you know, again, we live in the United States of America. We have a freedom of choice, or we should have a freedom of choice, right? And when they mandated those vaccines and then kept adding more and more and more on them, I got to tell you, Brandon, and I don't mind having the conversation with you. None of my kids were vaccinated. I've got my two youngest are 8 and 6. My 13-year-old's not vaccinated, and I don't have any concern at all. We keep their immune systems at a very high level, and we feed them the right foods. And when they do get sick, we know exactly the right ways to treat them. Now, again, I want everybody to understand, in this country, the United States of America, we are number one in emergency room medicine. Like if my kids were to get hurt, break a leg, I'm the first in line at the emergency room, get bit by a venomous snake. But when it comes to flus, and I mean, my kids have never had ear infections, never had stomach issues. When I look around at the health of other people's kids, and they mentioned about, all these diabetic cases, a lot of it goes back to the chemicals in the food, fluoride in our water, chlorine in our water. All the things that they have done to us over these years have really put us and compromised our system. So one thing you may not know, Brandon, he mentioned it earlier about, animal testing. There is an island right here in Charleston, South Carolina, right outside Charleston, outside of Beaufort, South Carolina.
Are you going to tell me about Lyme's disease?
No, Monkey Island. They stick all the monkeys that Fauci has done research on. They stick these monkeys on Monkey Island and don't let them leave. You can drive your boat up to it and see the monkeys on the beach.
Isn't there also an island somewhere in New York where they got Lyme's disease started?
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable what they do.
Well, look at this. This is out today by the Daily Mail. Chemical hatred hated by RFK Jr. linked to 500% increase in autism and shock new research. And guess what it is? Fluoride.
Yep.
Which is in most of the drinking water in America. Which is, by the way, why we recommend our filter, worldviewwater.net, with a filter that filters out all of these things. It's like there are very few filters, folks. I'm sorry, your refrigerator filter and all these other filters aren't doing the job. The filter we use, folks, at worldviewwater.net can actually filter out fluoride. Let me go there and show you. Worldviewwater.net. This is what I have under my kitchen sink. This is what I drink. This is what we make our coffee with. This is what Dolly drinks. Okay? I have one in my shower too, by the way, that one on the far right bottom. And this is what it filters out. Okay? So fluoride. Now we're seeing that. So get one, folks. Get one for your grandkids. Unless, of course, you want your IQ of your grandkids to be really, really low, which no grandparent that has a high IQ wants that. So if you don't want to buy it for yourself, buy one for your daughter or your son who have your grandbabies. don't let them drink this water with fluoride, because it's not only that, you got the Biden regime initially said they were going to try to replace all the lead pipes. Good luck. It will take the government. They've been trying, I think, for a decade to do this. It's going to take them a decade. I can't remember which one. But you know they're not going to get it done. It's the stinking government, right? They couldn't run a one-car parade without incident. So get yourself a water filter that filters this garbage out. I don't want to get into too much of an info commercial for water filters, but we brought up fluoride, and now a new study with a 500% increase tied to a 500% increase in autism. What's your take on water filters in the water?
Well, I was going to ask you a question, if that's okay, and that is, how do you feel when you're at your house, you have a shower, and then you go travel and get in a hotel and get out of the shower? There's a huge difference when you have a water filter that cleans and clears out your fluoride and your chlorine. Would you agree with that?
I will have to let you know, because I don't travel. I'm not a big traveler. I don't like to travel. I did it for years and years and years. I hate hotel rooms. I hate planes, and I hate hotel rooms. But that's me. That's me. The problem isn't you, it's me. I'm one of these guys that says to my wife, hey, when we travel, can we bring our own sheets, please? I don't trust the hotel. I've seen them bring blue lights in there. I know what's on the bedspread. I rip the bedspread off as soon as you go in the room. You know the floors are nasty. I don't care how high end it is. So for me, it's like, hey, let's go on vacation and stay in a hotel. I'm like, rather not. That's not a vacation. That's disgusting. But if you got to do it, you got to do it, right? I will let you know, because I have to go stay in a hotel for a rally coming up. But I have gone, it's been a few years, I would say 2 years or more since I've been in a hotel room that I can remember. So I'll let you know. But it's been many, many months I'm taking a shower with this shower filter. So I guess I'll let you know next week.
Yeah, you'll be able to tell the difference. I noticed the difference.
How so? How?
Well, your skin feels different. Your hair certainly feels different. You feel when you can remove those chemicals from your water, it tastes better. Everything changes. Water is the elixir of life. I mean, you have to have water. You can't go more than a few days without water. You go 36, 38 days without food, but you cannot go long without water. So water absorbs into your body. As soon as it gets to your skin, it's going in. So the more clean the water, the cleaner the body. So
great idea. All right, now let's see what else do I got here. I want to play this here for you as well. This is from Children's Health Defense. Listen to this.
Because MMR2 is a live virus vaccine, is contraindicated for people who are pregnant, immunocompromised, who have a fever, or are on certain medications, or have sensitivities or allergies to any component of the vaccine. We know individuals can contract vaccine-associated measles from those who were vaccinated within 28 days prior to exposure, and that breakthrough infections in vaccine-associated measles can mimic the same exact symptoms as the wild-type virus. If individuals who the vaccine is contraindicated for are exposed to a breakthrough case or an outbreak of vaccine-associated measles, it could put those individuals at risk.
So you now are telling me that even in the small print, the vaccine creators know what we just heard. So apparently your doctors aren't telling people that the MMR, the individual, that there's shedding involved, right? The mRNA vaccine sheds. I thought that was the stuff of conspiracy theories, Doc.
No, shedding is real. And we saw it we know it happens, as she said, with MMR. And isn't it interesting that she says these people should not have the vaccine, pregnant, immunocompromised, and people with fevers. But I promise you, there are a lot of kids who are taken to the doctor with a fever because they have a fever, and because they're sticking them with as many vaccines as they can put them in, 3 and 4 at a time, because they have them there, and they know if they don't get them right then, they won't be able to get them again until they're sick again. So a lot of those doctors don't even pay attention to that, from what I understand. So we have to make some changes. There's no doubt about that. I would say this, for those people out there who may go, hey, he's, anti-vaccine or there's, I'm pro-choice and I'm pro-education for parents. I tell my parents who bring me their children to my medical clinic, if you decide that you feel like you and your family need to have vaccines to be safe or covered, go to a doctor that can spread them out and titer them. So you're not getting 12 and 13 at a time. They can individually titer them out so that it's not so damaging to your immune system all at once every single time. So that's my advice to you out there. If you're like, hey, I'm still gonna, I still feel like I need to do these things, I would find a doctor that will work with you, titer them out, spread them way out.
Well, that's what we did with our second and third child after our first experience with our first child who had a vaccine reaction. After the smart aleck, know-it-all, piece of trash pediatrician, let me just tell you how I really feel about him, bullied us and made us feel stupid. Turned out he was the idiot, not us. Mom knows best. Mother knows best. She knew. I backed her up the best I could from the bully with a white smock on.
That's interesting to say that, Brandon. One more thing. That doctor, by law, had to report that back to the manufacturer. I would almost be willing, and I don't know, but I would almost be willing to bet he did not do that. He did not report it back because they don't. And then they make parents like you and Jenny McCarthy and all these other parents feel like they're the crazy ones when they take care of their child. They know their child, and then they have these 3-4 shots, and then the child screams for 3 or 4 days and then never looks them in the eye again. And then the medical community and other people say, no, that's crazy. That didn't happen. It's coming to a head. I mean, I think RFK is going to put the hammer down and really show people the truth.
Well, don't forget we had the Los Angeles Times have this headline. Remember that?
Yeah, that one.
Remember that?
Read it to me.
It says, don't be stupid. Skipping your COVID booster could reduce your IQ. That's what the Children's Health Defense put out.
That is unbelievable.
Can you believe that?
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see. What else do we got? I do know he's also going after food. He's going after, RFK Jr. is going after the food in the schools. They're not only brainwashing the kids and feeding them garbage to their minds, they feed them garbage in their bodies. I think I have a video where here it is. Let me play this. Here we go.
What a joy to be here at the Ferdinand T. Day School. We've met with their leaders. We've met with the incredible people who are running their school nutrition programs.
It's the first time that HHS has actively collaborated with USDA to change the quality of nutrition to America's school children.
I'm all in on this MAHA part of the movement.
40% of our school-age kids have at least one chronic health condition.
$4.1 trillion is spent on healthcare, and of that, 90% are for people with chronic diseases.
38% of our children are diabetic or pre-diabetic. That was unknown when I was a kid.
Our farmers, ranchers, and producers dedicate their lives to growing the safest, most abundant food supply in the world.
And President Trump, he's asked us to end the chronic disease epidemic.
It's the first of many stops for Secretary Kennedy and myself over the next 4 years as we work to make America healthy again.
Wow. By the way, I was just thinking about while that was playing, what you comment, the same goober of a pediatrician and doctor, family physician, that was downplaying our concerns about the so-called vaccines, ended up telling another family member of mine that their symptoms were all in their head when it came to adverse reactions after eating. The individual went to Mayo's Clinic, was diagnosed with not just celiac, or was diagnosed with celiac disease, not just having gluten allergies, but full-blown celiac disease. That idiot told the family member of mine, that it was in their head. There's a lot in his head, let me tell you that, and it wasn't just his imagination. Yeah, that's the mentality of most of these idiots that you go see as a doctor, which is, I don't know when I last went to a doctor. Dr. James Thorpe, MD, Dr. Peter McCullough, MD, Dr. Witcher, MD. These are friends of mine, but they're the ones that tell me, come on here and say, stay away from these places, stay away from the doctor. These people will kill you. They'll poison you and they'll kill you. And they'll laugh all the way to the bank, most of them, because they know that if they cut these vaccines out, their pediatrician's office is going to lose $1 million a year. So their oath that isn't worth the paper it was written on. But yeah, that story reminded me. Here, this guy was such an idiot. You know, what do you call the guy that graduates the bottom of his medical class? Doctor. So my guess is this idiot graduated at the bottom. You know, but yeah, my relative went to that Mayo Clinic because the idiot couldn't diagnose the family member of mine correctly. And Mayo Clinic said, oh yeah, you got celiac disease. So much for the family practitioner pediatrician, right?
So that's insane. Yeah, you know, the creed is first do no harm. And if they really understood first do no harm, they would seriously look at the prescriptions that they were writing on top of prescriptions that they're writing on top of subscriptions that they're writing, because every single one of them has terrible side effects. And we're one of the only countries that allows the pharmaceutical companies to advertise on TV. And I really think RFK is going to end that as well. But
he said he wants to. He said he wants to.
He should.
You know, that'd be a good question. How on earth is poor Fox News going to make it without the pharmaceuticals? How on earth are they going to make it? No, I'm not kidding. How are they going to make it?
I mean, watch a show and every, four or five commercials in between, 4 of them are going to be pharmaceutical. And the interesting thing to me, Brandon, is they show these people running through flowers or singing in the road and doing all these wonderful things that everybody should be doing together. And then at the very end, of course, like, hey, side effects include death and diarrhea, 24 hours a day and all these other things you don't want. So it's unbelievable to me.
Well, and, RFK has taken some hits for talking about the some of the shots. I guess here's the question. When this interview with CBS that Children's Health put out, they're saying, read between the lines here. Watch this. Watch this.
There was no evidence with for example, the two children that they were sick before, and they got sick from the measles, right?
Well, no. Daisy Hildebrand, whose funeral I attended this week, was hospitalized 3 times from other illnesses. She had extreme tonsillectomy. She had mononucleosis that she could not kick. And then she got measles. She got over the measles, according to her parents. And according to the medical reports, I saw a report on it today that the thing that killed her was not the measles, but it was a bacteriological infection.
Of her lungs?
She was graft positive for strep bacteria in her bloodstream.
Right. But what kills you with measles, of course, is you have the measles virus.
You have measles and you get pulmonary illness.
Yeah, you get pneumonia, and because the measles damages the lungs, and then the bacteria get in, and that's the secondary infection.
Well, but of course, that guy, that's not the clip I wanted, but that's a good one. But that guy, I don't know who he's shilling for, but apparently he's trying to convince everybody, this guy, he really wanted this gal to be dead from the measles, appears, and RFK Jr. is not having it, that, there are other things that were going on there. Comment on that while I look for the other one I want to play.
Yeah, again, measles is a self-limiting disease. People are going to get the measles and they're going to be able to get over it. Most people, unless you're severely immunocompromised. And these are the people that we should really be taking care of, making sure their immune systems, and this is the elderly people, right? And the very young, sick people, like you heard him say, tonsillectomy and all these other, things that she was
mononucleosis.
So her immune system is already, strep in the blood, not just strep, but strep in the blood. Brandon, if we scoped all of our back of our throats and did a culture, your audience would probably pass out to see some of the bacteria in the back of our throats. There's strep there. There's E. coli back there. There's staph back there. There's a lot of things floating around in the back of your throat that would make most people cringe.
So question is my dog's mouth cleaner than mine?
Well, people ask that all the time. I don't think.
Do they really?
Yes. But your dog's biome is helping you be healthier.
What?
Oh, absolutely.
Really? Yes. Did you hear that, Dolly? Did you hear that?
Yes.
Really?
Let your dog around your kids and your grandkids and your newborns. I mean, if you have anything and everything around your house stimulates an immune system to react.
So this is why kids who have pets, they have better immune systems and less allergies.
Absolutely right. Because their biome is mixed with, we become each other, right?
Yeah.
And the It's so important to have I just love your dog. It's so important to have your dogs around you and in your face and in your kids' faces. It's a healthy way to.
Have you seen these stories trying to freak you out? If your dog licks you, you have to have your legs and arms cut off.
I've seen the story.
Have you seen those? The dog licked her and she had to have her arms and legs cut off of bacteria. I'm thinking to myself, I'm not buying it, because that would mean that all of these children, all these babies, all these elderly people, all these sick people that have their dogs around them, all of these veterinarians, all these veterinarian techs would be in wheelchairs because they had no arms and legs over the last, several hundred years at least, right? Where'd this come from? If it wasn't the bacteria from the dog, it would have been the bacteria from their own child, their own husband, their something, right? I'm thinking this is not to blame the dog. This has got to do something with their immune system, right? The person got this and died. I'm like, well, if it was probably their immune system was massively compromised, and it was going to take pretty much just any bacteria what their body couldn't have fought off. Now, but they're going to blame it on the dog or the cat, right?
Or I'll give you another one, the pollen. People always say, "Oh my goodness, I'm allergic to the pollen." It's not that you're allergic to the pollen, because if pollen caused allergies, everyone would have allergies to the pollen. It's how your immune system is reacting to that pollen. Like, I have no problem in spring and fall. Like, I have no allergies at all. If pollen caused allergies, I would have allergies, but it's how my immune system is reacting to that. And let me tell you, the number one thing I do is keep my inflammation, that chronic inflammation marker, turned off. And that's one of the most important things you can do, is reduce the inflammation in your body, and your body will thank you for it and be able to fight off these things.
So it's not, I'm going to go back to the dog. So it's not the dog that killed that person. It's their immune system couldn't fight off very basic and common bacteria, regardless of where they came from.
Yeah, well, you would have no idea. Maybe the person's been on, 30 antibiotics, and just, an antibiotic doesn't look at your body and say, okay, you're going to take this antibiotic and I'm going to kill all the bad bacteria. An antibiotic kills all bacteria, good and bad bacteria. This is why women have infections, yeast infections, after they get on an antibiotic. This is why most of the doctors will say, hey, eat yogurt. Oh, yogurt's not good enough when you have an antibiotic. You need better pro and prebiotics when you go through an antibiotic thing. But when they're over prescribing these antibiotics, it's wiping out our immune systems. It's just killing our biome, killing the bacteria. I mean, we have this we're a living genome of just all these bacteria and these living organisms that are on us, in us, and around us. And we have to learn to get along with them. And we have to learn how to make sure they're growing naturally on us and in us to help us.
Yeah. And that's why, folks, when last fall I got a flu or infection that Dr. McCullough and I were talking about on the air, actually, during election time, and I was on the election night, I was pretty sick. Then the next day I was really bad. And he was saying you ended up with some kind of bacteria infection that went into pneumonia. And I didn't run and get the medical kit and get on amoxicillin because I don't want to do antibiotics except for when I have to do antibiotics, right? So maybe I waited a little long. I waited until my temperature went to 103, and then I jumped on the amoxicillin. But the point is, why did I try to push off from the antibiotic? For the reason he's saying. Antibiotics save lives. They're important to have. There are times you're going to have them or you might die, okay? But you don't want to get where you say, oh, I'm not feeling well, I'll take an antibiotic, and you pop them like you would aspirin. You wait until, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not giving medical advice here. I'm giving you my opinion. You wait until you know, okay, I've got something that can only be treated with an antibiotic, and I've checked with my medical doctor friend that I really trust, like a Dr. Peter McCullough or Dr. Thorpe, or somebody through telemedicine at the wellness company. And when I have no choice, I will then go and take that antibiotic. That's why I didn't just take an antibiotic when I didn't feel good and sounded terrible on the air, because I'm thinking, I don't want my body to build up an immunity to the antibiotic, because if I get something really important, I don't want to become where my body is not now taking the antibiotic to fight the infection. Am I right in my thinking here, Dr. Lucky?
Absolutely. Take a look at this. I just pulled up. Antimicrobial resistance, risk associated with antibiotic overuse and initiative to reduce the problem. Increased antimicrobial resistance is the cause of severe infections, complications, longer hospital stays, and increased mortality, which is death. Overprescribing of antibiotics is associated with increased risk of adverse effects, more frequently reattendance, and increased medicalization of self-limiting conditions. Conditions that should just go away on their own, or your immune system should be able to fight them off. If you've overused these antibiotics, you're having a harder time getting rid of things that should just go away. Antibiotic overprescribing is a particular problem in primary care where viruses cause most infections. Viruses. Antibiotics do nothing with viruses. So about 90% of all antibiotic prescriptions are issued by general practitioners, and respiratory tract infections are the leading reason for prescribing. So they're prescribing antibiotics for things that they should not be prescribing antibiotics for. And on Brandon's point, yes, we need antibiotics when they're used properly for the right things. When we're just writing scripts, we're advancing these diseases thousands and thousands of years ahead of us. And there's going to be a day when we have nothing to fight and you're in the hospital and you've got an advanced strain because we've overprescribed, and we're trying to stop that.
And that's what I'm afraid of. Let me give you one more clip. This is the one I thought I had a while ago. This is the one where Children's Health Defense is saying on their X account, read between the lines. He's been attacked for this, but read between the lines here. Notice he says, the government. Then he tells you his opinion.
Federal government's position, my position is people should get the measles vaccine, but if the government should not be mandating.
Understand.
You know, I've always said during my campaign and every part, every public statement I've made, I'm not going to take people's vaccines away from them. Right. What I'm going to do is make sure that we have good science so that people can make an informed choice. And we are doing that science today so that we know the risks of that product, and we also know what the benefits are. And right now, we don't know the risks of many of these products because they're not safety tested.
They're not safely tested. There you go. All right. In closing, let's talk about this, Dr. Lucky. Bella Grace, anti-inflammation. You were saying earlier there's a real connection between keeping your immune system boosted and inflammation, which in this is cat's claw from a bark on a vine out of Peru, which reduces the inflammation. So you're saying inflammation damages your immune system.
Yeah. So, when you take a look at worldwide deaths, 50% of deaths can be attributed through inflammation causing those disease processes that then cause the death. So and we also know, as I said earlier, COVID affected those with higher inflammatory markers, people with diabetes, people with, they were more, had more weight on them, weight management issues, people with other types of problems. So if we can eliminate that inflammation, that chronic inflammatory marker, if we can reduce that, your body's going to be able to fight off illnesses much, much cleaner and much, much better. So when we put this product together, we wanted to do a couple things. We wanted to not only reduce the free radicals, and remember, free radicals are things in your body that cause damage, cause you to age much quicker, causes you wrinkles, causes your organs to age. It really puts a strain on your body because it increases oxidative stress on the body. So think about a free radical as, you ever been to a party where there's a drunk person and they're bouncing around from person to person trying to get stable on somebody, and they're like really on your nerves because they keep bouncing around? That's a free radical. They're bouncing around in your body trying to stabilize themselves. And what they essentially do is they hook up with a healthy cell and they turn that healthy cell bad. So we want to mitigate and eliminate free radicals in our body. And we can do that by using the Bella Grace elixir with the collagen, with the astaxanthin, and with the cat's claw. Astaxanthin is just as powerful as the cat's claw. It gives you UVA protection, UVB protection. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. It removes spike proteins. And that's not Dr. Lucky saying that. That's PubMed studies saying that. Removes spike protein from the brain. It crosses the blood-retinal barrier. So there's some studies on eye health there. It's water soluble, fat soluble, so it can get in and out of the cell, so it protects your mitochondria where you produce energy. It's going to help that energy burn more energy to increase your metabolism, but it's going to clean up the mitochondria, so it doesn't have to work as hard to get the energy output out. It's not going to allow you to have a lot of free radicals in your cells. So at cellular health, astaxanthin is everything. And then, of course, collagen, you need that. You're losing 1% of a year. So when we synergistically put this together, we knew it was going to be magical, but we didn't know exactly how magical it was going to be. And you've heard Brandon, his fingers aren't cracking anymore. His hair is growing. He looks better than he's ever looked before. I'm 58 years old. I feel like I'm 25. And, all my patients are on it. Decreased joint pain. They look better, they feel better, they act better, and all because of the elixir.
Yep, it's powerful. I love it. I don't miss it. I take it every day. I can't say enough good things about it because of all the amazing results I've received. Like you said, cracked hands are gone. I don't have to take a Pepcid anymore. My acid reflux is gone. And Melissa, of course, loves the Bella Grace or the Bella Trim, all natural plant-based weight management, takes away her appetite, curves the munchies, goes after stubborn belly fat. Logan's on that too, by the way, now. She loves the restorative sleep gummies. She takes 2 of those a night. They help her stay asleep. And you guys, by the way, in closing, have a brand new product coming out, but you can't talk about it right yet, can you?
No, but, I gave you a little hint earlier. We brought a new chief science officer, and he is really an expert in brain and gut, and it's going to be fantastic, just like all our other products. I when I looked at this first product, our flagship product, the Elixir, I was amazed at what it could do for the body. And then from there, as you know, your wife loves the care line. She loves the Bella Trim, made by nature, proven by science. And then we brought out the some of the other products, the lotions and the Dewy Serum, which is amazing. But then the Sleep Gummy, I helped support that formula. And it really does a great job of getting you to a restorative sleep to help you build collagen, decrease. It's another anti-inflammatory. We put turmeric in it to do that, and magnesium as well. So really proud of what we're accomplishing. And the future is bright for us. We're part of that Make America Healthy Again. And honestly, Brandon, we're about the globe too. We want to make the globe healthy.
You say that last sentence again?
We want to make the globe healthy.
Absolutely.
We've opened multiple countries, and those products will be shipping around the world very soon.
Excellent. Excellent. My earpiece is cutting in and out. MelissaHouseBG.com, MelissaHouseBG.com. Dr. Lucky, name your books and where people can get them.
Sure. So Amazon Prime has my book, Inflammaging, Unlocking the Secrets to Inflammation and Age. If you're on Instagram and want to check me out, I'm the Dr. Lucky, THEDRLUCKIE. My book, Rest to Repair, is also on Amazon Prime, and would love to have you. I think they're $3. I really wrote them for information, so people get some really good information. The Inflammaging book does talk a little bit about the components of the elixir, and the Rest to Repair does talk about the components of our sleep gummy. So I hope you guys will enjoy it and write a review.
Awesome. Thank you as always. Appreciate you, Dr. Lucky. Dr. Lucky checking in. And of course, check it out, MelissaHouseBG.com. Joining me now to talk about, the tariffs, gold and silver spiking back up, a liquidity crisis. You might want to look up that real quick. Michael Weiner, liquidity crisis. Are we in one? Are we about to be in one? And how about this? How about the repo market, the overnight repurchasing where the feds pump liquidity into the banks? What's going on with that? In the meantime, while Michael is contemplating those questions, because we don't rehearse these interviews in advance, while he's rehearsing those in his mind, however, let me go to our Treasury Secretary in the last few hours. Scott Bessent is talking about, banks and Europe and the people and Wall Street. Listen to this.
In terms of escalation, unfortunately, the biggest offender in the global trading system is China, and they're the only country who's escalated. And I can tell the rest of the world that I'm not sure whether it was the prime minister or the economic minister in Spain made some comments this morning. Oh, well, maybe we should align ourselves more with China. That would be cutting your own throat, because I can tell you that these Chinese exports that the U.S. tariff wall is going to keep out, that China, for all of you who can remember that Disney movie of the brooms carrying the buckets of water, that is a Chinese business model. It never stops. They just keep producing and producing and dumping, and it's going somewhere. And I think, Rob, at the end of the day, that we can probably reach a deal with our allies, with the other countries that have been long-term. They've been good military allies, not perfect economic allies, and then we can approach China as a group.
All right, well, we'll see if that happens. I read also that China's been really upping their production, and now they're ready to take what they've already been producing and flood the market with lots of cheap products. We'll see what Michael Weiner thinks of this. We would have Wes with us, but Wes is under the weather today. Joining me now is Michael Weiner. How you doing, Michael?
Good evening, Brandon. How are you?
I'm great, thank you, my friend. What do you make of what the Treasury Secretary is saying there about China?
I totally agree with him. He's spot on. And the only reason the market took a dip today, and I really don't care about the market because most of these guys in the market right now are trying to cover their globalist rear ends. The other ones are not. The market came back yesterday because of reality. The market was played with today by the globalist people in the market who are trying to do nothing more than manipulate to try to look like they're playing along with China somehow to keep their buddies. But I think China's about to find out the resolve of the American people, because anybody I talk to, putting aside our worldview people and friends and even some Democrats who are really all American, as far as we're concerned, China can stick it. Take all their stuff. I'll pay more money. I'll buy it and I'll pay more. I'd rather not have their stuff than have their stuff and let them. They will go the way of Russia under Ronald Reagan. That's what's going to happen. Trump set them up. But right now, that's what brought the market down today. But also, you're watching the rest of the world moving away from the BRICS. The people who tied themselves there, just like Basant was saying right now, he warned somebody, don't make a mistake. Because it could be a mistake, you'll sink with them. The rest of the world is not going in that direction right now. They all want to work it out. But the BRICS and it is now is a currency that might be in problems. You're watching some of the people out there, and I call them some of these people who are trying to say the dollar is in jeopardy. Dollar's not in jeopardy. What's in jeopardy is the fact of how they trade between each other. The central banks of the world are embracing gold. They've been buying gold now for 2 days, and they are continuing to buy it. Now, it's affecting the bond market a little bit because people are not buying bonds or buying countries are not buying bonds or buying gold. We've seen gold, and I've had a lot of our clients and people call me up when they saw gold go down for a couple of days below 3,000, and I said, buy it while you can. It's an ice cream sale, and it's 100 degrees outside. You buy it while you can. And what happened? Gold's already almost going to be 3,200 tomorrow. Hang on. 3,200 tomorrow morning. And for all those people I told to buy it 2 days ago, sorry, you made a mistake. Gold is legitimately money, and the world is embracing it. And I think that you're going to see a lot of changes that will be occurring in the months ahead. And all of them will be positive factors for gold. But I think that there's going to be a lot of reshaping because globalism is over.
So tell me about liquidity. Well, I'm reading a lot of financial reports today about liquidity, that the banks are having liquidity issues. This is one reason why they're paying higher interest to borrow money. Recently, my banker called and said, would you like to get a 1-year CD at 4%? And I said, you want me to lock up my money for 1 year for 4%? Are you kidding me? I said, I can do way better than that in other areas where I invest. And it's not in stocks. It's not in anything. It's in hard assets. No, I'm not interested. But they thought they were doing me a real deal, offering me 4%. And apparently they're calling all the people that they can go in there and ring their phone numbers and ask them. So they're trying to obviously come up with so where they can lock in and know, well, we've got his money for a year. I said no.
Well, that's because a lot of these banks are tied up into, putting aside the overnights, they're tied up in bonds, and a lot of them are tied up in foreign money. So, they are legitimately very thin right now. I think you're also going to see something start happening in the months ahead. They're going to start going to conventional bank loans that didn't exist before. That'll come back again. But right now, there's a thin market. China is trying to perpetrate all this as a means of trying to hurt the United States. I think you'll find the Fed stepping in and the government stepping in and moving assets as a means of shoring things up. But there's a number of banks right now that are tied into bonds and legitimately into other things that are very much at risk. As we know, a lot of the banks tend to speculate, and I think derivatives are a major problem right now. There's your hook. We've talked about this, and you brought it up on Worldview Weekend. Years ago, we talked about the derivative market. Well, guess what? Say hello to the derivative market of the United States of America, because China is going to be taking a hit in the derivative market, and these banks who have played games with derivatives are thin right now. And that's a big reason why they're running around, and it'll all sort itself out in the wash. But some of these banks, I think, are going to be in a very tight squeeze for a period of time. And I think you're going to see the Fed moving in, and I think you're going to see Bassat moving in. And they brought that lady in. If you remember, there was a question regarding bank regulations and controls on banks. And initially, Jerome Powell several weeks ago said, well, he's going to do it. We don't need to hire anybody new. And then Trump did hire somebody new. I think you'll find this lady moving in and starting to make some very strong moves on regulatory controls and substance controls as it might be on the banks. So for the smart investor right now, you know, as we say on Worldview, and we say with Worldview Gold Swiss America, do not put all your eggs in one basket and do not make rash decisions. If you own blue chip stocks, I would not be a huge seller and dumping out of the market right now. That's foolish. But I've warned you about mutual funds. Brandon, we talked about mutual funds so many times. And there's people right now who have called me up, Worldview people, and said, oh my God, I'm down 30%. Is it going to come back? I said, it can't come back. It's gone. This is not an asset that holds value. You have lost. So if you're smart, you're either going to get on the side and reevaluate or make sure that you're properly balanced in gold. We talked about a 25% ratio. If you were in gold right now, your gold is going up to protect the losses that you are incurring elsewhere. And if you're not, you're foolish.
All right. So tell me what your thoughts are on the supposedly overnight loans, the repurchasing market. Are you following that at all?
Yeah, I think they're trying to offer more to get more companies. My company years ago, we used to buy repos. It was a quick way to make money overnight. And I think you're going to see some of the big companies floating money there versus bonds. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff going on in overnights. And I think the liquidity in the overnights can actually get bigger because it's a fast, easy place to go and make some quick dollars versus playing around possibly with bonds. So I think they say the overnight market is thin. I think the overnight market's going to be big because it's a safe haven for money in comparison to the bond market. So I don't see that liquidity problem in the overnights. I just don't see it. I think you'll see a lot of money being looked at in another place, and that will be gold. I think you'll see companies buying gold right now, just like they did years ago. I remember we did a radio show one time, and there was a guy who apparently had his broker with Mass Mutual, and he was talking about how he was telling his client not to buy gold. And I said, well, you better tell him to tune in because his company just bought $200 million worth of gold yesterday. So I think you'll see companies buying gold too. So there's going to be a lot of restructuring how people move assets, and I think there'll be starting to be big movement out of derivatives, and a lot of companies looking at overnights that didn't look at overnights before and turn to Chinese where they're not. They're going to be pulling money back, which includes Larry Fink from BlackRock, that little
liquidity crisis fear dominates the market as bonds sell off. All right, we appreciate you as always. If you want to get the free packet of information from Michael Weiner and Wes Peters, you can go to worldviewgold.com, worldviewgold.com. Just fill out the free packet of information, and they'll gladly send that to you. Worldview Gold, I'll spell it right, worldviewgold.com. You go there, look where it says top right-hand corner, more info. Click that. It'll bring you right down to the form. You fill it out. You'll get that no obligation free packet right away, or you can text Wes your name and number. He'll send it to you, 602-558-8585. Michael Weiner, as always, thank you, my friend.
Say hello to Dolly.
She's sound asleep. She's over here sound asleep. I will definitely say that. Thank you, Michael.
Good night.
All right, folks, that's our broadcast for tonight. So again, thank you for being here. Hey, roll the music. Don't forget to get your free business cards. We've now sent out over 12,000 of these. We're bringing a bunch of them with us to Wisconsin, so some of you can pick them up in person in Wisconsin. Otherwise, get your pack of 20. They're absolutely free of charge. Spread the word about our network. Invite people to listen, will you? We'd love it if you do that. We really would. So pray for us, promote us by getting our cards at worldviewstore.com. And then if you can, financially support us. Won't you consider going to worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. Please consider helping us keep the broadcast going and the stream open and free for everybody at worldviewfoundation.com. You'll also find our mailing address there. Hey, tomorrow is Logan's birthday, so maybe you want to email him or comment. Send the emails to me at Brandon at worldviewtube.com. I'll send them to him, or find our contact on our website. But happy 22 to Logan tomorrow, April 11th. May God save America. Take care.